significant yield loss due to the pest infestation. Key check number 8, harvesting of the crop at the right time. And key check number 9, dry, clean, and store grains properly. So for key check number 1, using high quality seeds of recommended variety, this is the most important. This is where you start. So as the saying goes, you reap what you sow. You harvest what you plant. So if you plant good quality seeds or low quality seeds, which has a lot of impurities, damaged or deformed with visible seed-borne pests and diseases, and low germination rate, you can expect that you would have low production output. Now, if you plant high-quality seeds, which are relatively pure, have fewer weed seeds, free from seed-borne pests and diseases, full and uniform in size, higher germination, then you have a very good chance of getting high production yield. So the importance of key check, higher germination rate, more vigorous seedlings, more efficient crop establishment. As the plant grows, it would grow in uniform in size, less pest problem, uniform ripening, more efficient harvesting activity, and you are insured of getting 10% or more yield increase. For key check number 2, well-leveled field. This is important because it would definitely give you a good water and crop management. So there would be less weed incidents, better snail management, efficient nutrient utilization, uniform crop growth and maturity, timely harvesting, efficient use of water and application of controlled irrigation practices, and efficient use of farm machinery. If the field is not well leveled, there would be a 5% yield reduction because there would be more water needed to drench the soil, reducing water use and time efficiency, and there would be a higher incidence of weed. So recommendations to achieve key check 2, plow or rotate the field 21 to 30 days before planting season. So it will allow time for the germination of the weed seeds and the drop seeds. Harrow the field once a week at a 1-week interval. So to break down the soil clads, incorporate the stubbles, allow weed seeds to germinate, help reduce initial pest population, and to maintain the hard pan. Leveling the field, it would allow uniform water distribution, facilitate easier irrigation and drainage. So ideally, from plowing, you have a weekly interval to do the first harrowing, second harrowing, and the final leveling. So it would give you 21 days approximately to complete before transplanting. Key check number 3, or practice of synchronous planting after a rest period. So this is a period when the rice field is not planted with the same crop to be fruitful for the next cropping season. So synchronous planting after a rest period, it would enable efficient use of irrigation water, avoid overlapping incidents of insect and disease population, avoid significant yield loss from the pest. So importance of key check number 3, if farmers plant synchronously, crops can be harvested almost at the same time, leaving no food source for the insect pest to survive. In contrast, if they plant asynchronously, insect pests will have a continuous source of food to survive and to persist. So following the local planting calendar to maximize the use of irrigation within the community, practice of synchronous planting at least within the applicable vicinity. So this is essential for farmers belonging to one community that they should plant synchronously to avoid high incidence of pest infestation. Okay, key check number 4, sufficient number of healthy seedlings. Okay, what are the healthy seedlings? So they have uniform height and growth, have short leaf sheaths, have long and dense roots, and no pest damages. So healthy seedlings will definitely produce good canopy, have a good root system and free from pest damages, can avail of sufficient sunlight and soil nutrients, can easily recover from transplanting shock, and would have a higher survival rate, produce sufficient productive tillers, and increase the potential for higher yield. For transplanted rice, it is important to follow the recommended seeding rate, which is anywhere between 20 to 40 kilograms per hectare for inbred rice seeds.
Wow.
And ensure that there is a hill density of at least 25 hills per square meter for manual transplanting and at least 21 hills per square meter for mechanical transplanting. So following this recommendation for manual transplanting, minimum seedbed area 400 square meters, age of seedling days before transplanting 18 to 21 days, number of seedlings per hill 2 to 3 seedlings, planting distance in centimeter for wet season it is 20 by 20 and for dry season it is 20 by 15. For mechanical transplanting, about 250 to 300 trays. Age of seedlings before transplanting 14 to 18 days maximum. Number of seedlings per hill 3 to 6 seedlings. Distance is the same for both wet and dry season, 30 centimeters by 15 centimeters. Next. So for transplanted rice, it is essential to replant the missing hills within 7 days after transplanting. For key check number 5, which is nutrition management. So nutrients are what plant needs to grow and to become productive. Proper nutrient management improves crop growth and yield. Rice plants grow and respond better to fertilizer when there is more sunlight. So nutrient elements that the plant needs are nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, zinc, and sulfur. So nutrients from tillering to early panicle initiation and flowering, if insufficient, it would result to slow growth, less tillers, less panicles, fewer seeds, and lower grain weight. Sufficient, good and uniform growth, uniform panicle development, attainment of the yield potential. Excessive nutrient would result to pest damage, lodging, and to pollution. So to assess key check number 5, if you were able to achieve it, no symptoms of nutrient deficiency or toxicity from tillering to early panicle initiation and flowering. So we have to do visual observation for deficiency, result of nutrient assessment and decision support tools and other available information. So this is a typical tip that we teach the farmers on how they can do visual observation. So for the upper leaves, it will show these are the nutrients that the rice plant needs: zinc, calcium, copper, iron, boron, sulfur, and manganese. For the lower part, it will have to be nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and magnesium. So knowing the right element, amount, and timing of fertilizer application, to simplify it, we call it eat right. The right element that your plant needs will give the right nutrient, increases cost efficiency and attainment of target yield. Knowing the right amount of fertilizer to apply, too much or too little is not good. And knowing the right timing of fertilizer application to increase efficiency in input, cost, and nutrient uptake. So for key check number 6, which is water management, an adequate water supply is one of the most important factors to produce high and quality grain yield. With water, it helps rice to use soil nutrient efficiently, and it acts as a solvent for organic and inorganic solutes and gases, facilitating their translocation within the plant. And water also controls weed growth. So water, and it's important to rice production. It dissolves plant nutrients, transports the food for acts as a medium for photosynthesis and soil nutrients, improves nutrient uptake, and corrects some nutrient imbalances. So it aids in proper seed germination, promotes seedling vigor, influences farm operation. So insufficient water would result to drought stress. With the right amount, it would have a better nutrient uptake, better snail and weed control, uniform growth and maturity, and efficient farm operation. So too much water would lead to excessive water stress, which would result to low yield because there are reduced number of tillers, stunted growth and lodging, higher irrigation costs, there would be nutrient imbalance, and low fertilizer efficiency, and with a higher greenhouse gas emission as well. So recommendations to achieve key check number 3, ensure to attain 2 to 3 centimeter water level every irrigation at 3 to 14 days after transplanting or 5 to 14 days after sowing. Achieve and maintain the 5 centimeter water level every irrigation time. Drain water or stop irrigation 1 week before expected date of harvest for medium textured soil during dry season, and 2 weeks before expected date of harvest for fine textured soil or during the wet season. Now, if there is scarcity of water, we encourage the farmers to practice controlled irrigation, wherein they would have to perform the alternate wet and dry methods using an observation well. Key check number 7, no significant yield loss due to pest. Okay, so for high quality grains, there is no discoloration, uniform grain size, free from visible pest damage, and less weed contamination. So knowing how the rice crop interacts with biotic factors and agroecosystem and crop management, we can correctly identify pests and apply ecologically based pest management strategies. So no significant yield loss due to pests such as insect pests, diseases, weeds, rats, snails, and birds. So how to achieve the key check number 7, use varieties resistant to pests prevalent in the locality. So changing or rotating varieties every 2 to 4 croppings, practicing of synchronous planting after a 30-day rest period, and conducting regular field monitoring to identify potential pests and conserve beneficial organisms. This is similar to what Pabasuki earlier was discussing about agroecosystem analysis. So this is where the farmers go out of the field every day to do visual observation of what is actually happening to the field. So weed management, basically you have to use high quality seed, do manual and mechanical weeding if possible at all times, and using of herbicides as the last option. For rat management, practice timely, integrated, and sustained community-wide control. In some areas in the Philippines, in some provinces, most farmers would practice electrocuting the rats. They set up traps with use of an electric generator to kill all the rats that are infesting the field. For snail management, you have to keep the soil saturated, especially during the early vegetative stage. You need to construct canals and place attractants to facilitate snail collection. Usually the practice in the Philippines is that in these small canals, they would put papaya leaves to attract the snails so that it will not be in the middle of the field. They will be going to the canals because they got attracted to the papaya leaves, and then it would be easy to collect them. And what we do, I mean, for us in our farm, we collect all the snails, we crush them, and we put molasses and we ferment them for 7 to 10 days. And we can use them as a natural fertilizer for our rice plants. So we
And
call it
also we
KAA
have
or
palm
amino acid.
fruit.
It helps. It could lessen our cost for the fertilizer. Now for the birds, there's nothing much we can do about it except scaring it. But we have one farmer
The same.
who graduated from our class. The thing that he did to drive away the transactions, like Facebook Marketplace, Lazada, and Shopee. For capacity building for our traders, this is pest and nutrient management by Bill Rice, POP on digital agriculture course by ATI. There is also an e-learning online platform. So this is an
Thank you very much. Okay. Any questions from